Well, first of all, thank you for the question, and I hope your family is okay and your home is okay.
Yes, they are, ma'am.
Okay. So there has been a lot of mis and disinformation that this is not a time for people to play politics. I never asked a witness or a victim of crime, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? The only question I ever asked is, are you okay?
Vice President Kamala Harris just wrapped up her town hall that was hosted by Univision, focusing on her speaking to Latino voters. But there was one huge problem. It became very awkward when she introduced her new Latino accent. Yes, you heard me correctly. Understand the type of people she's speaking to. They like it to be direct. They like the bottom line. They don't want to be sold to with a bunch of fluff. Just keep it simple and answer my question. Now, having said that, let's start with the individual asked her, what is the difference between you and Joe Biden when it comes to responding to hurricanes? Watch this.
In terms of relief for families affected by Helene, what would your administration do differently in the case of Milton?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question, and I hope your family is okay and your home is okay.
Yes, they are, ma'am.
Okay. So there has been a lot of mis and disinformation about what we have been doing over the last 2 weeks and what we are going to do going forward. And I have to stress that this is not a time for people to play politics. You know, I started my career as a prosecutor. And when I worked doing that job of my goal of keeping people safe, I never asked a witness or a victim of crime, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? The only question I ever asked is, are you okay?
Okay, so just 3 quick things, all right? Number 1, did you see the teleprompter? She was clearly reading off the teleprompter. Yes, they had a teleprompter right there on the ground and eye level. I mean, that is just pathetic. That's not something that is normal in a town hall. Second thing, she says she doesn't like to play politics when it pertains to these disasters. Well, why were you playing politics with Governor Ron DeSantis? Why did you attack him? That there was no need for that. Oh, and then the third thing, don't let me forget, her Latino accent. I guess not only is she Indian American, not only is she black, but I guess she's Latino too now. I mean, if this doesn't scream fake, I don't know what does. I mean, this has to be a turnoff for some of these people in the crowd. And if you saw his face when you were watching the clip, you could tell he was kind of like, oh man, this is crazy. Now let's move to one of probably her biggest weaknesses is the border security. I mean, this answer, it's got to blow your mind. Watch this.
What would you do differently from what's been done in the Biden administration to make sure that the border is secure and orderly?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. And I was just recently in Arizona at the border. Let me start with this. Perhaps what distinguishes me from at least a couple of people. I was the top law enforcement officer of the biggest state in this country, California, that is also a border state. I have taken on transnational criminal organizations. I have taken on transnational criminal organizations that traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings, and I've prosecuted them. I led a bipartisan group of attorneys general, American attorneys general, to Mexico City to work with Mexican attorneys general to combine intelligence and resources to prosecute those cases, including what was going south as well as what was coming north. So I will put my record up against anyone.
Okay, so her answer is she's willing to put her record up against anyone. The problem is her record is the weakest point in this entire campaign, right? Immigration is where she loses every single time. She's talking to people who probably answered the phone and said that, no, we trust Donald Trump over Kamala Harris as it pertains to border security. I mean, this is disastrous. I can't believe she's answering a question this way. We already know that she was the border czar. They know that she was the border czar. They saw the difference between former President Trump and her. And once again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, and that's exactly what the polls say. And one of the biggest concerns that you'll always see in every single poll is the cost of living. And man, you just have to shake your head. She goes back to the middle class answer. Watch this.
Thank you for the question. And your point, listen, I know prices are too high still. You know prices are too high still. and we have to deal with it. Here's how I feel about it. Again, you've heard my story. I come from the working class. I'm never going to forget where I come from. And part of what we have to do is build what I call an opportunity economy, where people have the opportunity, like you have described, for you to be able to work hard and your 5 daughters have an opportunity to then do what they and what you aspire for them to be able to do without having to worry about just getting by. I want you to be able to get ahead.
Now, let me be clear about something. As I play these clips, you have to understand her answers are actually about 3 to 5 minutes long. So I had to trim them down because she goes on and on and on and really never answers the question. Now, with this particular question, she does get into what we always hear from her: $6,000 child tax credit, $25,000 down payment for new home buyers, and $50,000 tax deduction for small business owners. I probably know this better than her, but the bottom line is this: we've debunked all 3 of those things, okay? Maybe the child tax credit will be implemented if she was to get elected and actually have a difference. The other 2, those 2 policies will actually raise cost in America. So obviously that's not going to work. Oh, and don't let me forget, why does she spend a minute talking about growing up as a working class person and she doesn't want to forget where she came from? These individuals don't care about all that. Just tell me what the answer is. Tell me what you're going to do. Now, on this next question, which is in regards to our healthcare system, how long it takes for people to actually get the care they need and how costly it is for them to get the care that they need. And you would think that's what she focuses on. No, 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 no. When she answers this question, she focuses on her biggest obsession, Donald Trump.
So I hope you're feeling better now. I'm sorry it took so long for you to get the support you needed. I firmly and deeply believe that access to health care is a right and should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it or have access to it easily. It should be something that we make accessible to all people. Again, it gets back to my earlier point. It's about the dignity of people and about the importance of doing what we can as leaders to alleviate suffering. Right? You know, when I say earlier about what I think is backwards in terms of this thinking that it's a sign of strength to beat people down, part of the backward nature of those kinds of thinking is to suggest that empathy, right, is somehow a weakness. Empathy meaning to have some level of care and concern about the suffering of other people and then do something to lift that up.
You know, it's as if she's trying to run the most politically correct campaign known to man. But the problem is we live in a day and age where people are done with the games. Can you just answer the question, be direct? What are you going to do to fix the healthcare system? She has no answer. She only has one tool in her toolkit, which is to blame Donald Trump. That's it. That's all she has. And so it obviously leads to probably one of the biggest questions people have is, how did you get elected? I mean, how are we in the position we are as you being the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party? And yes, she was asked that very question. Listen to this.
First of all, thank you for being so candid and allowing me to answer the question. Thank you. President Biden made a decision that I think history will show was probably one of the most courageous that a president could make, which is he decided to put country above his personal interest. And he made that decision. He within that same period of time, supported my candidacy and urged me to run. He and I have been partners for the last 4 years as his vice president to him as the president. And I am honored to have earned the Democratic nomination.
Okay, so if you're getting value from this video, please do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to support me further, go to the link in the description below. Grab yourself a t-shirt or buy us a cup of coffee. You know what she just said was a utter lie, okay? Let's go through this. He put country before self. No. He put self before country when he refused to drop out until Nancy Pelosi threatened him. I mean, what are you talking about? Do we have to go back and play the clips of him screaming, saying, they're trying to kick me out of the race, I'm not leaving? I mean, stop it with this, okay? This is how deceitful the Democratic Party has really become. On one hand, they were like, well, you know, it's his decision, but what we really want him to do is drop out. And then when he drops out, oh my God, that's the most honorable thing we've ever seen. And any person with a certain level of common sense knows the way she became the nominee in the first place is suspect at best. She didn't have to participate in any debates. There was no one that actually opposed her. There was not an alternative option. It was, she's been endorsed and she's the nominee and you got to get with the program. Just think about how that is to a lot of voters out there. Now, we've saved the best clip for last, and that is where she was asked to say 3 good things about Donald Trump. Yes, 3 positive things. Can you imagine? I mean, this is a crazy question already, but after you see the way that she responded, you'd probably conclude that she spiraled out of control completely. Watch this.
Thank you for the question. Let me start with this. Based on a life experience, I know that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And part of what pains me is the approach that, frankly, Donald Trump and some others have taken, which is to suggest that it's us versus them, whoever that may be. I think Donald Trump loves his family, and I think that's very important. I think family is one of the most important things that we can prioritize. But I don't really know him, to be honest with you. I only met him one time on the debate stage. I'd never met him before. So I don't really have much more to offer you.
She can't even say 3 positive things about the former president. Listen, I got 3 things for her right now. I know she likes to drink. I know she likes to party. And I know she likes to cook. I mean, it's not that difficult, lady. You're in politics. You lie for a living. You can't even answer that question. And so I love that question because it shows you the double standard, right? They try to hold Donald Trump accountable on everything that comes out of his mouth and the way that he behaves. But when it comes time for them to hold themselves accountable, no, they get let off the hook. They have an excuse because Donald Trump is bad. So it excuses our lies. It excuses how deceitful we are. No, it doesn't. Not with people who have common sense. That's my opinion. What do you guys think about this town hall? Awkward as heck, in my opinion. She's all over the place. She's playing the blame game the entire time. What did you think of some of the questions? Did you see what I saw? I felt these questions were very direct. They were expecting a direct answer. If you looked at some of their faces, they looked a little puzzled. How about you when you heard what her answers were? Well, let me know in the comments section below. And of course, Kamala Harris wasn't the only person playing the blame game today. President Joe Biden was as well when he blew up on former President Trump. So if you want to see that video, click on it right now.